Hello students, greetings to you all in the name of Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Welcome back to the physics classroom. Now this is going to be our third session here. So far we have completed chapter 1 and half of chapter 3. And the name of the chapter 3 is Simple Machine. And we did finish almost half of the chapter. So before we could go to the rest of the half, we will just revise on what we learned in the previous class. So it's just a recap of the previous video. So in this chapter, we learnt about machines. Machines are something that makes our work very easy. And we learnt about 4 functions of the machines. And the 4 functions include, it acts as a force multiplier, and it changes the point of application of effort to a convenient point, and the direction of effort to a convenient point, and the gain in speed. And then we learned about important terms like load, effort, mechanical advantage, velocity ratio, efficiency, and so on. We learned 7 terms, and we also learned about or discussed about the definition of machine. And most importantly, we saw the principle of a machine. The principle of a machine is nothing but output energy is equal to input energy. And then we learned that there are 2 types of machines, ideal machine and the actual machine. In an ideal machine, the efficiency is 100%, but in the case of an actual machine, the efficiency is not 100%. And then we learned about the relation between mechanical advantage, velocity ratio, efficiency, and we moved on to levers. In levers, we saw that there are 3 classes, class 1, 2, and 3, and we discussed about the mechanical advantage of all the 3 classes of levers. And to make it very short, if the mechanical advantage is greater than 1, then the lever acts as a force multiplier. When the mechanical advantage is less than 1, then it helps in gain in speed. If the mechanical advantage is equal to 1, it does not do much, but it helps in changing the direction of the effort. So this is what we saw in the previous class. So here are certain questions. I just captured it from your textbook. So you can just go through these questions, read them, and try to answer them. If you're not able to answer them, you can very well contact me. I'm ready to help you out. And if you have any doubt in the previous classes, kindly contact me. And I'm very happy and I really appreciate the students who submitted the classwork. And there were few children who clarified their doubts, which means that most of you are listening and following the instruction. Thank you, children. I really appreciate that. And this again are few questions from your textbooks, which you can read and try to answer and check how much you have understood the chapter. And these are the formulas that are involved in the first half. First half in the sense from the important terms and from the lever. So these formulas, you will be using it for problem solving. So again, we are not doing the problem solving work now here. If needed, we will be starting it here in the online class. So these are the formulas that you need to know from the previous session. Okay, moving on to the second half of the chapter. So in the previous lesson, the first half, we learned about machines and we learned about one of the simple machine, that is levers. Now we are going to move on to the next type of simple machine, that is pulley. So you are all very familiar with pulley. I'm sure everyone would have seen it live. If not, just try to think of the flagpole that we have in our school. That flagpole has a pulley with the help of which we will raise the flag or we will hoist the flag. Okay, here, this pulley has certain parts. For example, when you are learning biology and you are learning about plant cell, you will draw and you will mark its parts. So parts of a picture. So here we are going to learn the parts of a pulley. So this is what we see. A pulley has a circular ring with a groove. The groove is this. You're able to see a bend here, right? This bend is what you will call as a groove. So this groove is what helps the rope to stand in position. If there is no groove, then there are chances of this rope falling this side or that side. So this groove is helping to hold the string or the rope in position. And next we have a nail here. Why do we have a nail? To hold the ring in its position, or you can call it as a grooved rim, to hold the grooved rim in the position. This nail is what we will call as an axle, because the pulley rotates along this axis. So it is a pivoted point. So we call it as an axle. Now you know what is the disc. This is what you call it as a disc, which it has a grooved rim, and this groove is helping to hold the rope. And we have a nail and we have an axle, and this is what you call it as a frame. See, this picture is here with all the parts. This is what you call it as a frame. The frame is right here. So the nail and the grooved rim, they are all fixed with the help of this frame. So this is very important. We have a rigid support to which this pulley is attached. So this is the parts of a pulley which you are supposed to know. We'll move on to the next one. Here, before we could learn in detail about pulley, I want to make one thing clear. As we learn, we are going to neglect two things in this part. One is the friction that is found between the string and the surface of the rim. So we are neglecting the friction between the string and the rim, and then we are neglecting the weight of the pulley and the weight of the string. So with neglecting all these factors, we are going to study in detail the characters and the applications of the pulley. So we are neglecting three things. One is friction between the string and the surface, and then the weight of the pulley and the weight of the string. Okay. So there are quite two important types of pulley. One, we call it as a fixed pulley, and the other we call it as a movable pulley. As you can see here, this pulley is fixed. This pulley is not moving, whereas here the pulley moves. It can be moved up and down, but here the load moves, the pulley stays fixed. Here the load and the pulley are moving. So this we will call it as a fixed pulley, and this we will call it as a movable pulley. And then we'll move on to the characters of a fixed pulley. So what is a fixed pulley? As you can see, it is fixed to a surface, so we call it as a fixed pulley. What does it do? It helps in changing the direction of the force applied. That is, it helps in changing the direction of the effort. Then this is movable pulley. So you saw what is a fixed pulley. Fixed pulley is something that is fixed to a surface. Movable pulley, that pulley will keep moving along with the load. For example, in this picture, as you can see, this girl, you can call it as a load. And this is your pulley. So this pulley is moving along with the load. So this is one example of a movable pulley. And where are the other places where we use movable pulley are in cranes, in elevators, and in weightlifting machine. Why we use movable pulley in weightlifting machine? We will be learning about it in the next part. So the other way of using a pulley is by combining them. We saw that there are two types of pulley, fixed pulley and a movable pulley. And there is another way by which these pulleys can be used is simply by combining them. We can combine some number of here. As you can see here, you have number of fixed pulleys fixed together. Here you have a fixed pulley and a movable pulley together. So you can combine fixed pulleys and movable pulleys, or just fixed pulleys or just movable pulleys, and you can construct a combination of pulleys. told you what is a fixed pulley, what is a movable pulley, and a combination of pulleys. But what are we going to learn in them? We are going to learn the mechanical advantage, velocity ratio, and efficiency of all these three now. Mechanical advantage, velocity ratio, and efficiency of fixed pulley, movable pulley, and the combination of pulleys. So we'll start with fixed pulley. So let's learn in detail about the fixed pulley now. What is a fixed pulley? Of course, a pulley helps in moving a load. This pulley has a string or a rope, you can say, and this rope, one side of the rope is connected to the load and the other side of the load is given to apply effort. As you can see, this rope is being pulled down by the load and this rope is being pulled down by the effort. So, this rope is experiencing two tension, one by the effort and the other by the load, and both are acting downward. So the string is under tension. You know what is tension? You take rubber band and you stretch it as much as you can. You say that there is tension. So whatever you stretch or whatever you pull will undergo a tension. So here the string is undergoing a tension and the tension of the string on both the sides are in the same direction, which is downwards. So as you know, the formula for mechanical advantage is load by effort. And we know if you have a load of 100 kilograms, in order to move that 100 kilograms, you should put an effort of 100 kilograms. Or for example, you have a stone on the floor and that stone is say around 5 kg. You are supposed to lift it. You cannot lift the stone unless and until you put an equal effort to that of its weight. So similarly, here we have a load and the load has a mass. This effort that you apply should be equal to that of the weight of the load. Only then you will be able to move the load. So if the load is 5 kg, the effort is 5 kg. If the load is 10 kg, the effort is going to be 10 kg. So if you convert it in terms of Newton, if the load is 100 Newton, your effort should also be 100 Newton. So if you substitute in the formula, mechanical advantage is equal to load by effort. So when you substitute it, your load and the effort are same. So what happens? They will get cancelled and you will get a value of 1. So what happens to the mechanical advantage? You get a mechanical advantage as 1. If it is 1, it does not have any advantage. But there is one thing which we learned, that when the mechanical advantage is equal to 1, it means that particular simple machine is helping in changing the direction. So now as we know the mechanical advantage is 1, let's move on to velocity ratio. What would be the velocity ratio? The formula for velocity ratio is dE is by dl, that is distance moved by the effort and the distance moved by the load. So here, if you are pulling down some 5 centimeters, if this comes down 5 centimeters, this will go up 5 centimeters, right? The length of the string will be say around, if the length of the string is 100 centimeters, that is 1 meter. If you are pulling 10 centimeters this side,
by velocity ratio, that is also going to be 1. That's 100%. It is 100% only in the case of an ideal machine, but in the actual machine, it will not be 100% because there will be some friction in the or friction between the groove and the string, which we are neglecting right now, as I told you in the beginning. So if you consider it as an ideal machine, the efficiency is 100. But if you consider it as an actual machine, the efficiency is less than 100. Now that you know your mechanical advantage is 1, so it does not do much. If in order to move 100 kg weight, you are supposed to put the equal amount of force. So what is the advantage that I get in a fixed pulley? there is one huge advantage. If you are asked to move a weight upwards, see, here you have a mass here, you consider it as a weight, and you're supposed to move it upwards by applying a force upward. Then it's quite difficult. But it is always easy to pull something downwards. So you are changing the direction of the effort with the help of a fixed pulley. So though the mechanical advantage is 1, it is helping us in changing the direction of the effort, so it makes our work easy. So this is all about single fixed pulley. So we are going to move on to single movable pulley next. As I told you earlier, single movable pulley, a pulley that can move along with the load. So what is the difference between a movable pulley and a fixed pulley? There's a huge advantage when you compare these two, and I would say that the movable pulley is much better than that of a simple pulley, and that is what we are going to see now. What makes the movable pulley so special when compared to a fixed pulley? So before we could learn that, we are going to see what type of lever does this machine represent. As you can see, a fulcrum is a point at which it is fixed. So this is the fixed point. So I can call that fixed point as a fulcrum. So let's consider this as the fulcrum. And this is where you are applying some force. So this is where your effort is. And this is your load. So who is in the middle? Load is in the middle. So it comes under the second class lever. And then, as I told you, there's a huge advantage, and we are going to learn that advantage now. So, as I told you earlier, when we were learning about the single fixed pulley, the tension was acting downwards in both the sides of the rope. But here in the case of a movable pulley, the tension acts upwards. So as you can see, it is denoted here by the arrow. Here also the tension acts upward, and here also the tension acts upward. So here, if this is our load. So this load is being supported by two tensions, and both the tensions are acting upward. When two forces act in the same direction, what do? We will add the forces. So this tension is also a force. This tension is also a force. They both are acting in the same direction, and these two forces are supporting my load. So what I would say is, this load is equal to this tension plus this tension. So I will simply add these two to find my load. So see, as you can see, L is equal to T plus T, which is equal to 2T. So this is when it comes to load, because load is supported by both these tension on both the sides. Now coming to the effort. What does this effort do? This effort involves only one tension, not two. This effort involves only one tension. So I would say that effort is equal to T, because it involves only one. So now I know my load and I know my effort. Load is equal to 2T and effort is equal to T. So let's substitute in the formula for mechanical advantage. Mechanical advantage is equal to load by effort. So it is 2T by 2. So now my mechanical advantage is 2, which is greater than 1. When the mechanical advantage is greater than 1, we say then the machine acts as a force multiplier. What do you mean by force multiplier? In order to move a huge object, you need to give a small force. So your effort is reduced. If you are using a single fixed pulley, in order to move a 100 Newton object, you need to put 100 Newton of force. But if you are using a movable pulley, in order to move a 100 Newton load, you don't have to give 100 Newton force as an effort. You can give much less than that. So what happens? Your effort is being reduced in the case of a single movable pulley. And this is the huge advantage of a single movable pulley when compared to the fixed pulley. And this is why this movable pulley is used to move huge objects. For example, it is used in elevators. Elevators are nothing but lift in order to move to the second floor or third floor. You know that. You might have seen it in the shopping complexes, malls and all. So this is the advantage, and this is what makes the single movable pulley very special. So knowing the mechanical advantage, let's move on to the velocity ratio. How did we calculate velocity ratio in the previous case? We saw how much distance did it move in the load side and in the effort side. So here, as you can see, this is our load. So what we are going to calculate is the movement of the pulley. If I pull this rope 10 centimeters, do you think this pulley will move 10 centimeter upward? Imagine you have a pulley attached to a single string. You are pulling the string 10 centimeters up. What will happen? When you pull it 10 centimeters up, this will move only 5 centimeters. That is, your distance moved by the effort could be 10, but the distance moved by the load is only 5 centimeters. So what happens? My value of dl becomes dE by 2, which is half that of the distance moved by the effort. So the value of dE is d, the value of dl is dE by 2. So if I substitute it in the formula of velocity ratio, what happens? We will see. You are substituting dE as dE and you are substituting dl as dE by 2. So what will happen here? It becomes dE divided by dE into 2. So what will happen? This dE and this dE would get cancelled, and what I will get at last would be just 2. So our velocity ratio also becomes 2. We saw that the mechanical advantage is 2 for a single movable pulley. The velocity ratio is also 2 for a single movable pulley. So if we substitute in the formula for efficiency, your efficiency is again 1 or 100%. So the efficiency does not change for a fixed pulley and a movable pulley. But what changes? Mechanical advantage and velocity ratio. There, your load and effort are equal when it comes to a single fixed pulley. But here, your load and effort are not equal. You can put less effort and move the huge load in the case of a single movable pulley. So what did we learn so far? We learned about pulleys, parts of pulleys. I told you there are 3 types: a fixed pulley, a movable pulley, and a pulley system. Fixed pulley can rotate in its own axis, but it cannot move. A movable pulley can rotate and it can also move up and down. A group of pulleys is nothing but a combination of pulleys. So in all the 3 cases, we learnt about the mechanical advantage and the velocity ratios. Now coming to the important session. Children, I really appreciate those who submitted your classworks through WhatsApp. But I think this would be a better way to follow a Google Classroom. And I am very sure that you are all very familiar with Google Classroom. But I would like to repeat it again. Go to Google Classroom, go to classroom.google.com and click Join Class. And when you click Join Class, it will ask for a class code. And this is the code for your physics classroom. Enter your code and then click Join. Since you have submitted, or most of you have your notes for lesson 1 and for lesson 3 ready, till the class that we discussed now, till now, I want the notes for lesson 1 and lesson 3. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to evaluate it and I'm going to enter the marks. So make sure that you submit your notes without fail. If you fail to submit your classwork, you will be losing your marks. Don't forget that. So submit your notes for lesson 1 and lesson 3. And there is something very interesting and exciting there in the classroom, and I'm not sure how many of you are going to like it. So again, this is your classroom code. This is most important. Since we have completed lesson 1 earlier, I have a test form in the classroom. So go to google.classroom.com, join class, and once you join, if you have to join class, you have to enter this code. Click join class. In the join class, you will have totally 3 assignments. 2 for classwork submission, and the 1 will be your physics test. Click physics test. It is in the form, it is in the Google form format with multiple choice questions. I have given 15 multiple choice questions. The test is for 30 marks. Once you click the answers for all and you submit, you cannot change anything. So make sure that you think and answer, and better learn lesson 1 before you get attempting the test. I want this test to be submitted before Wednesday evening, and you will not have an access to this Google form after the time which I have given you, that is after Wednesday evening. You cannot attempt the test, so you will not be given any mark. So make sure and try your best. I pray for better network in your areas, and I pray that you get your mobiles in your hands from your parents, but the mark is in your hand. Prepare well and answer the questions. Okay, children, thank you for your cooperation. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask, and all the best for your test. Thank you.